Well, joining me now in London is Haroune Hassine. He was a captain in the Algerian Secret Service until he defected in the 1990s and founded a group for military dissidents. And in our studio is North Africa analyst Lakhdar Ghettas, who wrote the book Algeria and the Cold War, International Relations and the Struggle for Autonomy. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Haroune, let me start with you. Has this been a victory for people power?
Well, absolutely not, because it is simply a constitutional coup, which is, a coup against the constitution, conducted by France. That's it. It's a sit back. It's in fact somehow France is telling the Algerian people, "I'm here to stay. I'm here for a long time." I mean, you cannot imagine that with the interest she's got, that she's going to just leave Algeria just like that. I mean, bearing in mind that since 1962, it did appear now that France is taking the Algerian gas for free. And they were doing so from 1962 to 2000.
Haroune, allow me to interrupt you just for a second here. So you have all these people, hundreds of thousands of people take to the streets. They say, no fifth term for Bouteflika. We don't want you to run for a fifth term. And eventually he says, okay, I won't run for a fifth term and I'm going to listen to you. People are celebrating on the streets. Aren't you giving an overly cynical interpretation of what might be true? But at least, I mean, perhaps there's something good on the surface here, right?
No, absolutely not. I mean, not all people some people, they were fooled about what happened yesterday. But I can tell you that most of them, they're aware of what's going on. I mean, they know that what happened yesterday was just like a setup, because Bouteflika is not able, in fact, to give the interviews they've shown on the TV yesterday. They were fake videos. They were shown just to try and set up what they're trying to do and gain some time. While Bouteflika now is in a state of coma and unable, in fact, to do anything at all.
Okay, Lakhdar, do you share that cynical view of what happened?
Well, what the scenes we've seen last night in the streets of Algiers and other towns are a mix. There is a sort of orchestration of the celebration. There is some celebration, but there is also an orchestration of the celebrations if you do reverse engineering of what happened last night, is that the first pictures or footage showed on the pro-regime private channels. Which tells a lot of the credibility of that. In addition to the youth online have now done some analysis of the footage and the videos, and there is a reason to believe that it's not quite clear that they're accurate or they're up to date. So, yet there was some joyful feeling that the people, the protesters, they managed to make the regime do a reverse or U-turn on its decisions. That they feel that people power has achieved something, but they are still steadfast and they're in the streets. Right. And we've seen it last night that they are still saying that we need to continue the engagement and stay in the streets. And they're today in the universities, in many universities there in the streets, and there are strikes still ongoing.
Lakhdar, do you share Haroune's view that the French are pulling the strings? We heard from the French Foreign Minister, Jean-Yves Le Drian, welcoming the decision of Bouteflika not to stand for re-election, saying France expresses its hope that a new dynamic that can answer the deep aspirations of the Algerian people will rapidly take hold. Is there something deeper to be read there, that France has been pulling the strings?
Definitely, it would be simplistic to believe the contrary. I mean, the history, the strategic links between the two countries, I mean, what is at stake is huge. So the position of Algeria, its role in North Africa, it would be simplistic to believe that there was nothing there. La Mamra was in France just the day before, and we've seen it in Le Drian's answer to the Parliament's MP answer in the Assembly, General Assembly. So, yeah.
Okay, let's have a little listen to some of the people on the streets in hearing the news that Bouteflika would not stand for another term. Here's what some of them had to say.
We do not accept the extension that was announced. They said that elections would be coordinated. That is fine, as long as they are the scheduled elections. We simply do not accept this.
So let me then ask you, Haroune, for you and the protesters who are cynical and saying this is not enough, this seems like a setup, what then needs to be done in addition to Bouteflika saying, I don't want to run for a 5th term?
Sorry, I just want to correct the term. We're not cynical, we're just realistic. Because, as your honorary guest said, what is in stake here is huge. I mean, France cannot imagine its future without Algeria. And I can tell you something. There is a wake-up now within the population, either military or civilians. We all know that since 1962, we had like a fake independence. This is for sure. And people now, they want from France to get out of Algeria in once and for all. I mean, we would like, in fact, to share our resources, to conduct our politics like whatever we would like to do. So it is as simple as that, except that it won't happen just like that. Because, I mean, you need to know that, as I said before, Algeria for France is like blood. I mean, just imagine, as I said before, getting gas for free. It's huge. Plus, I mean, I'm not talking about only that, but I'm talking as well about the strategic position of Algeria, about the fact that Algeria doesn't want another Turkey at its doors. This is for sure. And as I said to some other analysts, I mean, France, she doesn't want now to have 2 Turkeys because they're fighting Turkey for its position and they're fighting now Algeria not to become another Turkey. And we need to know that in the world now, in the Islamic world, there are only 2 countries with huge potential, only Algeria and Turkey. So what is at stake now is huge.
Right.
I mean, and America is supporting France.
Okay, so Lakhdar, who has the most to lose if Bouteflika and his circle truly gives up power?
Well, the structure of the system or the regime in Algeria, it started like crony capitalism. By the time Bouteflika came, huge oil resources, revenues of oil. It's mutated by the time of his 2nd, 3rd term into state capture, an elite, business elite, backed by the military, that have, in a sense, captured the resources of the country.
So with the news yesterday, they're not going to roll over and die. They're still around.
They're still around. They hope so. Depends on how the strong the momentum stays. They've made the tactic that when they've made early university holidays for the students. The tactic behind that, or the rationale, was that to empty the big towns of the students, send them to the periphery, to the inland towns, and then give in these semi-reforms, and then the protesters will continue, but there will be not as much as because the Friday to Friday cycle of protests were sustained during the week by the third Tuesday protests of the students. That was the tactic why to send students back home. But what's happening now is that we've seen that those students going to the periphery will try to organize online and on the ground in their small and towns, but also those who are in the streets, in the big towns, will keep the mobilization. This is the same dilemma that Ben Ali faced when it happened in December, end of December, to send students back or to call them back to send them to the periphery, or to announce the start of the term in early January.
Understood.
The dilemma made him lose his power, and scenario like that is unfolding in Algeria right now.
It's interesting that you mentioned Ben Ali, because a lot of people, not just Algerians, are cautiously watching the situation because of the events of 2011 across the region, right? I guess a lot of people naively just believed in 2011 and 2012, just each country, one after the other, would just have revolution upon revolution and the power structures wouldn't fight back. Haroune, let me ask you, national dialogue is called for by Bouteflika and those around him. Is it going to happen? And would you support it?
Well, honestly with you, I mean, I need to point something which is very important, is that in 1992, I witnessed, because I was there, a coup against the Algerian President Charlie Benjdid, and at that time it was conducted by France, and I was there. So it cost Algeria nearly 300,000 people, and now we're seeing a clearly coup, constitutional coup from France, which I hope it's not going to degenerate, because I can assure you something, that France won't let go just like this.
Okay, we're paying attention. We're keeping a close eye on Algeria. For the moment, gentlemen, I'm going to thank you for joining us here on the Newsmakers, Haroune Hassine and Lakhdar Ghettas. Thanks again for joining us.